What's up? This is Amanda Kiernan from Into Eternity and the Order of Chaos.
Hey guys, this is Stu from Death Dealer.
This is Zoe from Insatia.
Hey, this is David Rivera from Ex Mortis.
Hi, this is Ida from Trisphere, and you are listening to the Great Metal Debate podcast.
So hard to do. Leave your eyes open. I'm so confused to see a world lies inside of you. And I'll fight.
Music fans, do we have a treat for you today? The podcast returns, stretching across the Atlantic to speak with two incredible musicians. We have Carla van Huizen and Mike Saffrie from the Dutch symphonic metal band Ventura. Mike and Carla, welcome to the Great Metal Debate.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Robert.
Hi, Robert.
Let's begin by getting folks up to speed on the history of Ventura, when it was formed, and how the band came together.
We'll do a small sum up of our history. 2006 was the first ever initial thought about the band. In 2007 the band was complete. We started writing songs. 2008 was the release of the first album, A New Beginning, also in the US, through the record company Renaissance Records. After that, we had a small pause in our career. We did a small mini album, an EP in 2009, and then we had to work very hard to complete our second album, which took more than 3 years to make. So when this one was released, it was 2012, and now we're now in 2015.
I have had an opportunity to listen to both A New Beginning and White Crow, which I'm very excited about. Just received that back about a month ago and can't stop listening to that album. I have my own thoughts, but stylistically, how would you both characterize the music of Ventura?
Well, that's a difficult question because we can say it's really rock and metal, and of course female-fronted. That's also a good term. So for us, it is female-fronted rock metal. And of course, on the first album, we had some keyboard lines, and so that was a little bit symphonic, and that was less on the second album. So it's not particularly symphonic, but we do have a lot of melody in it. So that's why it is, female-fronted rock metal, melodic metal, something like that.
There's certainly a lot of influences that one can hear listening to those two albums. What were the artists that have inspired or influenced each of you as musicians?
For the songwriting, speaking for myself, I'm from more the new metal wave from the late 90s, beginning of 2000s. I seriously Killswitch Engage and Machine Head, all those kinds of bands. So for me it was very hard to make something for Ventura because we have a female vocalist. When we did the first album, of course, you can hear Evanescence, for instance, as a somewhat of an example. But for the second album, we had to make it our own, and maybe it was more like groove, mixing with rock, mixing with metal, and staying in touch with the vocal lines for Carla. So for me, as it comes for examples, I'm more into the heavy way of the metal scene, but for Carla it's very different.
Yes, I am more to the pop and the rock music. So for me, Alanis Morissette was one of my biggest influences, because she wrote the songs with a lot of freedom in her lyrics, and it was really very inspirational. me. And also, of course, Evanescence and La Cuna Coil is also one of my favorites. So that's more, it has grown into metal for me, but it started with the pop music for me. So, and the guys were all metal. So it's very nice to make a good mix of both. So, yeah.
When I listen to your music, it's not exactly like the other bands from the Netherlands, but I am struck by how the Netherlands is such a vibrant breeding ground for metal bands. So many great metal and rock acts come from your country. We've had Charlotte from Delane and Diane from Ex Libris on our podcast before. Why do you think your country is so strong in so many different genres of music?
I think we have gotten the opportunity to grow in this world of music. With bands like Within Temptation, they made this little country of the Netherlands more known, and that's why doors were opened to us as musicians. Abroad labels took a lot of Dutch bands in, so they could have a career, and that is still growing. It's fantastic.
At the local level, are you still seeing many new bands rising up?
All the time. Yes, we have a lot of good bands, and also local, yes. There are a lot of bands who are trying to step up the plate, and it's really crowded, I have to say. But, well, we're trying to do our best, and yeah, I think it's going well for us now.
Well, the competition has served you well, as evidenced by the music of your band, and let's talk about that music. To me, it's incredibly well crafted, quite different, the first album to the second album, but it's obvious with both that you all put a lot of time and effort into the writing and composing process. You mentioned almost 3 years on the writing of White Crow. Can you give us some insight into what that composition process is like?
If it comes to the songwriting, the music side of it all, I start with what we call a blueprint. I have the capability to write the full song with my computer, making the drum lines, playing the bass lines, and making the guitar lines. This is crafted to what we call a blueprint. It gives a good impression of what the song can be. Then I have to give Carla all the space to do her vocal lines, and when that is ready, this blueprint is presented to the rest of the band, and they say yes or no.
Then the vocal melodies are written after the initial composition?
Indeed, yes.
Yeah. And it's always, for me, a really good process to listen to the music and find a real atmosphere in the music, and that's for me important. When I know the song a little bit, I've listened to it a couple of times, then I know a little bit of the style, what I'm going to do, and I just let it go. My creation is not something that I really know up front. I'm just blank into it, and it's always nice to hear from myself that what I come up with. So it's always a surprise for me too, but it's really nice to do. It's always a surprise, and it's all about chemistry. I think that's one of the things that is really important when you listen to the songs and listen to the music and try to write a vocal line. When you hear chemistry in it, then it's good.
Talking about those songs, and in particular your last album, White Crow, released in 2012, I can't stop listening to it, and particularly that title track, just so beautifully written. What was the response to that album when you first put it out after putting in so much work, and how do you evaluate it in hindsight?
We are very fortunate that when we released it for the Benelux only, straight after when the mixing and mastering was done, the full press was really, really positive. In all honesty, I can admit that we did not receive any negative reviews at all. So with this behind us, we pushed our album through the whole of Europe, and indeed also the reviews they made were also very positive. So we are very fortunate with the result. You
talked earlier about the chemistry of the band and having watched some of the live videos on the internet, it seems to me the band does have a tremendous chemistry on stage. Has that been natural from day one, or did it take some time to develop that live rapport?
This has been a process and, of course, development. We changed a few times within the band, and today we have the right formation. When we are now on stage, you see a grown-up band playing their asses off for the audience, and we really enjoy ourselves at that moment. And this is what the people can see when they are looking at us live.
Yeah, you talked about the changes in lineup, and I noticed in the recent live performances that I've watched, the keys and orchestration are all done as backing tracks. In the past, did you ever have a keyboardist on stage, and is that something you might anticipate doing in the future?
We have had a keyboard player for the first album. When we noticed that things were getting seriously, we had to perform more professionally, we had to cut them loose. So for the second album, we started without a keyboard player. And within the writing process, when we used the keyboards, it was so little, but just enough that we thought, okay, for live performances, our backing tracks will be enough. And in that full process, we never thought about getting a new keyboard player for the live circuit.
Let's talk a little about the future. You already have pre-orders available for the EP, the mini album that you've completed. First, why the choice to do an EP follow-up to White Crow versus a full studio album?
Well, the answer is at least very simple. With this mini album, we want to promote ourselves to the higher level of this music industry. We see that we are having a good moment writing new songs. We wish to see if a new label with more capabilities can pick us up and let us go to a new studio for the third album. This is a tremendous amount of money you have to have, and for us we did White Crow fully ourselves, but we had to bleed enormously. So for a third album we thought, okay, let's promote just 4 songs and see if we can attract a good label so they can do the budget themselves, so we can go into a good studio and have a kick-ass album again.
As far as the musical style, is this an outgrowth of White Crow, or will we see some new influences appear on this EP?
We can say this is definitely the new phase and stage of this band. We can call it La Ventura 2.0 because you will hear enormous growth in how we started the writing process, how we now perform, and the style, although it's maybe a big surprise for many of our loyal fans, you will still hear and feel La Ventura in all its aspects, like good melody lines and good grooves.
Sounds like a little of the old and a bit of the new. Outline for us what the timeline is for the release of that EP and what you all have coming up the remainder of 2015.
Well, it's all on a short term at the moment. We have the release planned on November 7th. This will mean that we still have a little bit of 4 or 5 weeks to complete the mixing process, the mastering, the reproduction, and of course all the artwork for the mini album. We can make it, we will make it, let's put it that way. And after that we will perform live to do the promotion. The promotion will kick in the second week of November, and then we do a lot of more gigs, hopefully until the summer of 2016. When this is done, we hope to have attracted a new good label as a good partner, so we can go into studio again.
And so, tour expectations, Netherlands, obviously. Are there some other places that you have enough information to speak about that you will be visiting?
Yes, we have a few gigs on also some festivals. We have in the second week of November 3 gigs in a row with a cool Italian band called Sleeping Romance. We're going to perform together at the Brainstorm Festival. It's a good metal festival here in the Netherlands, which promotes all kinds of metal and rock music. After that, we will do more in Belgium and Holland again, and for the next year, also Germany and the UK are planned.
Yes, we're going to the Quinphonic Festival in Birmingham, and that's in, I think, the 26th and 27th of March 2016.
So to your Western European fans, no excuses. They will be able to see you live coming up here in only a matter of months.
True.
Yeah.
Exciting news. Well, wrapping up with you today, Mike and Carla, how can people find out more about the band La Ventura, including how to purchase music and merchandise?
You can follow us, of course, on our social media pages on Facebook, and of course we have Twitter. To find us on the internet to purchase an album, you can go to our official band homepage. It's laventura.com. There is a shop attached, and there you can find all the albums, our t-shirts, all kind of things you want to have about and want to know about La Ventura.
I really want our listeners to check out La Ventura. I honestly haven't stopped listening to White Crow since it arrived in my mailbox, and I'm excited to pre-order that new EP soon. Carla, I haven't seen a name. Is that name been disclosed yet, or is that something that's still pending public release?
I would say this for Carla. It's still, how shall I put it? It's still a surprise. We want to have a good name that rings a long time into 2016. But we have to choose one, and this is a process. We're going to choose it as a band, and this is this weekend.
This weekend, yes.
Well,
yeah.
You put the pressure on yourself now by saying this weekend, so that's great.
Yeah.
Again, thank you so much for joining us. Excited about the future of your band. So much good music. Again, encourage our fans. Check out this album, White Crow. Check out the first album, A New Beginning. Look for that upcoming To Be Named This Weekend EP, because I'm sure it's going to be a killer. Mike, Carla, many thanks for joining us today on The Great Metal Debate.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you very much, Robert.
It was a pleasure.
I will fight for